War Thunder just snuck in a change to basically every Western tank, and they're completely wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
My name is Panzer, I'm a former Leopard 2 tank commander, and since this change affects Leopards 2, I think I'm qualified to talk about it. But of course, we're going to test this for ourselves. So, the Task Force update just dropped, and at first glance, nothing seems out of the ordinary. We got new vehicles, some new effects, and some new UI updates. But hidden in the patch notes was this line. And unlike the other changes that either have an attached bug report or some sort of document referenced, this one has nothing. And what it seems to suggest is that blowout panels, a common safety feature on most Western tanks like the Abrams, Leopard 2 and Type 90, are actually a bug. And they shouldn't function as designed. Instead, the crew aren't supposed to be protected from the ammunition being hit. Or at least, it appears to be that way. So I did some digging, and I found this bug report from last month. The user who reported it stated that their crew was totally knocked out by a shot to the turret bustle ammo rack, despite none of the crew being hit by the projectile or spall. Another user then replied stating that the shot hit the bunker wall and rendered it ineffective. And when we look at their attached screenshot, that does appear to be the case. But since this isn't explicitly stated anywhere as a game mechanic, it could just be speculation. But here's where it gets messy. A bug reporting manager, who is completely anonymous, then replies with a bold, sweeping statement that blowout panels protect against fire, but they don't protect against detonation. This isn't a bug. So, wow. There's a lot to unpack here. Because firstly, that's entirely incorrect. But there's more to it than that. You see, the ammo bunker and door are built to withstand the pressure of ammo contained within it detonating for any reason. And when combined with the all-important blowout panels, the pressure from an explosion can be released away from the crew. You see, it isn't just that the bunker door has to be strong enough. From a physics point of view, it has to be stronger than the panels that are intended to blow out. To put it in simple terms, it's not an attempt to block the explosion entirely, it's a way to redirect it. But then there's also the question of ammunition. Gaijin has already conceded in the past that fin-stabilized discarding sabot rounds, or APFSDS, or virtually any kinetic energy warhead ammunition, shouldn't detonate if the ammo rack is hit. And when we test this, it does appear to be the case. But when we talk about heat rounds, that's where it gets a little murky. Now on the Leopard 2 we have what's known as an inert charge explosive warhead. What that essentially means is that the explosive material in the warhead can only really detonate under very specific circumstances. Without getting too deep into the specifics, fire is not one of those cases. Fire can definitely damage the warhead, but it's very unlikely to cause an explosion. Now, it's difficult to model this in the game since every heat round in the game can be different, and they would then need to adjust every individual round to a certain level of volatility. So, for gameplay consistency, I can understand them wanting to standardize that. However, that's not what the Gaijin staff member stated here. They said, protect against fire, but not detonation. Well, if that's the case, the crew should still be fine in almost every case when it comes to these tanks. So, we decided to test this out. For our tests, we used a World War II era M10 Wolverine loaded with solid shot AP. And this was to provide the smallest amount of spall with no explosive filler to prevent any kind of inconsistencies. First with the Abrams. A mixed loadout led to the damage of the interior and the crew was injured, but everyone survived. There was a fire, but blowout panels didn't deploy either. Interestingly though, the fire seemed to go out before the timer ended. Not sure what's going on there. Next, a full load of sabot rounds. In this case the ammo caught fire, the blowout panels stayed intact, but no further damage was caused to the tank. Lastly, we did a full load of heat rounds. This had a dramatic effect. The blowout panels blew out and they seemed to mostly do their job. The crew was injured, the commander was knocked out, and we lost our ammo, and the turret also took severe damage. But otherwise, still kind of survivable. But what about the Leopard? This was a big surprise, with kind of a plausible explanation. So first we had a mixed loadout of heat and sabot. The tank took damage here and the crew was injured more severely, but otherwise the tank survived. Despite having less ammo in the bunker overall compared to the Abrams, it seems like the Leopard suffered significantly more damage. With only saber rounds loaded, the ammo rack catches fire, but otherwise the tank is okay. And lastly, with all heat loaded, the effect is just as dramatic. Half the crew is knocked out, the commander and the loader. The turret systems take severe damage, including turret hydraulics located on the opposite side of the turret. But did you notice something? In every instance with the Leopard, the blowout panel did not seem to activate. Maybe the visual model doesn't change, but it's pretty clear that the ammo bunker walls on the Leopard are being damaged by the explosive, or even being completely destroyed. This is despite it carrying fewer rounds in the bunker than the Abrams does. But even in the case of the Abrams, the ammo bunker wall is destroyed when any amount of explosive rounds are carried. The reasoning for this is the way Gaijin have modeled the ammo bunker. In the Abrams, it's a flat wall between the ammo and the crew compartment, but in the Leopard it's an odd L shape that doesn't fully enclose the ammo bunker at all. It's actually split into two wall modules, and the wall between the ammo compartment and the turret electronics seems to get destroyed whether you have a full load of heat or not. And in our testing, we also found that the ammo detonation would instantly knock out all of the crew when the shot penetrating damages the bunker wall as well. This sort of makes sense, but it's a feature that needs to be better explained. In addition, the way Gaijin handles ammunition is partly to blame, since ammunition is ambiguous, meaning whether you load AP or HE in your rack, so long as a single round is HE, every ammunition piece modeled is treated as HE until that HE is exploded or destroyed. So basically, if it can blow up, it will eventually blow up. Because any one of these rounds could be that one HE round all at the same time. And obviously, the amount of explosive damage in the rack scales with the number of high explosive rounds loaded. But it's worth remembering that just loading a single one could still pose that same risk. So really, the conclusion is as you might expect. Loading AP only is the solution. And while I could talk more about things like inert explosives, the likelihood of heat rounds, for example, to actually explode when hit, unless War Thunder is going to model individual ammunition and its explosive potential in that way, I doubt it's going to matter as much. But as far as the game goes, it has some issues that I hope will be corrected. Mainly, the modeling of the ammo bunker in the Leopard 2 is wrong or actually bugged, and it needs to be adjusted. But otherwise, so long as the ammo bunker itself isn't damaged, it does seem to protect the crew quite well, even in the event of an explosion. But safe to say, the reason given that the ammo bunker protects only from fire and not detonation is incorrect not just in real life, but also in the game, because our tests seem to prove that it does provide protection after all. The only real bug right now seems to be the Leopard 2's blowout panel simply not working. But realism in War Thunder is always going to be a fickle thing. You either have it as closely modeled as possible to real life, but then have gameplay that doesn't really support it. For example, we can have the most realistically modeled and authentic tanks in the game, but then we're playing on maps where we're fighting from 1,000 meters or less, basically point-blank range, which is unrealistic for tanks. Or you have balancing issues that then have to be corrected in an unrealistic manner, like giving modern tanks old ammunition, or old tanks modern ammunition, just to keep them competitive. It's never going to hit that perfect level of balance between realism, authenticity, and gameplay consistency. And I think that's the real issue with War Thunder. But of course, there's plenty more issues to get into, but at the end of the day, the game is never going to be 100% true to life. All we can hope for is that it feels authentic and immersive enough. And assuming they fix this particular issue, there's still going to be other issues that pop up along the way. There's always going to be a tank that's missing something, maybe a module, maybe some equipment, maybe some ammunition. There's going to be vehicles that underperform, there's going to be vehicles that overperform. And unfortunately, it's all in the name of keeping the game playable. I'm not siding with them on this one, and my personal opinion is they should at least still model things accurately if they're going to model them at all. So either get it right or get it out of the game. But let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. And my name is Panzer, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.